today we're talking about the TE 300 Husaberg two-stroke. Now in America the 300 and the 250 did not come out in 2011. This is the 2012 derivative, and now it will be in America. The funny thing is, they will not have the four strokes. They're only going to have the two strokes, whereas Husaberg's been known as four-stroke force, Husaberg four-stroke force. But nonetheless, we've been fortunate enough to do a test on the 2012 300, belonging to Mark Garland, or more rightly so, KTM South Africa, because Husaberg and KTM are pretty much the same company. If you look closely at the Husaberg, it really is a KTM engine, this and that and whatever. Although Husaberg do put on the final touches, they do the porting and they do the CDI unit to their own specification. 2012 has got a yellow frame, a couple of other mods. They say they've changed the porting and the cylinder parameters, stuff that we can't really see. And the other differences really, as opposed to the 2012 KTM 300, is unfortunately it retains the older shape. But before you go, oh hang, that's a bit of a pity, a good part of this is it still retains the closed cartridge forks, which the KTM does not have. Closed cartridge forks, as we've discussed before, the newer versions are very, very good. They're great for small rocks, they're great for whoops. It's a good all-around fork. And they pretty much trump the KTM as far as the forks go, or as the suspension goes. It is the older shape, in other words, the older generation KTM shape. But with the yellow frame and the blue look-alike seats and the black rear fender, it's certainly got a striking look to it. Upon testing the bike with Mark Garland, it's as good as the KTM 300, perhaps a little bit better. Husaberg always seemed to just get something more out of the bottom of the bike, the low end. Don't know what it is, perhaps the porting, perhaps their own secret little CDI unit mapping, we're not 100% sure. But it does seem to have a little bit more off the bottom, and of course the suspension is very, very good. Besides that, the brakes are exactly the same as a KTM. The swing arm, the linkage, everything else is pretty much KTM. Once again, obviously it's a little bit different to the 2012 300 because this is the older generation frame. But, another good thing is, remember the 2011 KTM 300, when they first came out in 2008, that specific generation frame, they've perfected to such a degree that I suppose the Husaberg is living off that perfection and is reaping the rewards of continued morphosis of the actual frame and the bike itself. So it's really at the pinnacle of what the KTM 300 was last year, with a little bit more added, being the closed cartridge forks and engine mods. Great bike. Graham Jarvis is certainly collaping, or shall we say, destroying everybody in the extreme enduros with one. He's just recently won the Roof of Africa with one. So it's certainly a bike that's capable. And if I'm not mistaken, he's won almost every single other extreme race. Husaberg, he rightfully won it, missed a checkpoint, so he was disqualified and Teddy took over. But he was 15 points ahead, or 15 minutes ahead of Teddy at that time. So, you know, technically I think he won it, but anyway, he didn't at the end of the day. All in all, Romaniacs, Roof of Africa, he's pretty much won everything on the bike. So the Husaberg is, at this point, at the top of the extreme enduro off-road table. It's untouchable. Look, obviously the rider's got a lot to do with that, because Graham is a phenomenal rider. At 36 years of age, he's probably one of the best extreme riders in the world at the moment. And he really makes a little Husaberg sing. We've done the full test. We had Mark doing most of the riding and the ins and outs in the bike. So, yeah, watch, look at the various suspension absorptions that it does, because that is quite impressive. And also just hear the crispness of it. The Husaberg does have a certain crispness. Not Christmas, crispness. So look at it and enjoy.